A very good morning to you. Welcome to Your World Monday edition. I hope Valentine's weekend was everything that you hoped that it would be and so much more. Yeah, we're here back to factory settings and a bit of red here and there, just to remind you that no Monday blues happen at Your World. My name is Mikali Mary, and today on Your World, it being a Mindful Monday, we are confronting unseen scars. That is what we're doing today. FGM, that is over a decade now, but it still continues to happen. Many years later, we've seen a decline, about 15% now, but in some parts of this country, we have it prevalent to about 70% and some more. And these are statistics according to the United Nations Population Fund, where it also continues to say that more than 230 million women and girls worldwide are living with the consequences of FGM. Yes, there's been progress. Yes, there's need for more to be done. But there's also something that we discovered that when we had this conversation a few weeks back is that there's also a rise in changing the way that we do it. We're going to hospitals now, we're making it look like, it's not so bad. But is the harm still there? So that is the conversation that we're having today. And like we said 2 weeks ago, it's a continuous kind of conversation. It's not about enforcing laws now. It's about changing the social norms. What are we believing in? What are the things that are happening uko chini in our cultures? What are we saying about them? In our religions, what are we saying about them? It's going back to those spaces to just find out what can be done. And that ties into the question that we're asking you today. The question of the day today is, what's the one thing you would change about how we talk about FGM? The question is, what's the one thing that you would change about how we talk about FGM? How are we talking about it? And what would you like for us to change even as we start this journey of just changing one girl's life every single day? All right. And having this conversation with me today is exactly who we need for this kind of conversation. And starting on my immediate left, I have Grace Risa Nakaya, who's a social worker. Welcome to the show. Grace, karibu sana. Unajua nimesema Valentine's inaendelea, mkaniambia Valentine's yenyu inakuanga every year. Every day of the year, red lazima shine. You look lovely. Asante sana kwa kuja. Right next to Grace, we have Consolata Akoth Ondeng, who is an FGM psychologist. Lovely to have you on the show. And right next to Consolata, we have Elvin Tina Ouma, who's a project officer at Gem Trust. I was saying that right. And last but not least, we have Edwina Kwala, who's a director at the Kara Project. Karibuni sana.
Asante.
And I know these titles probably are just, an overview of what exactly that you deal with. And each and every one of you is here because of the conversation around FGM. And maybe we can start with probably Grace. You just said social worker, but what does that mean exactly? Unaweza tuambia even where you come from, the community, pande gani ya Kenya hii. Tunaweza sema tu hivi nyinyi wote ni wa pande moja, lakini they're different communities. Yeah. Yes, karibu.
My name is Grace.
Yes.
I come from Ewaso Kidong.
Hiyo iko wapi?
Ewaso Kidong is in Kajiado County.
Aha.
Yeah, so we border Narok, Kiambu. Yeah, so down towards Narok Suswa. That's where I come from.
Okay.
And I'm a social worker in a Catholic Rescue Center.
Okay.
But even then, I've worked with an organization called Compassion.
Okay.
As a social worker.
Grace, just hold a bit. We're going to fix your mic in just a few. Ikona kakitu. And then we'll come back to you and then you'll give us your introduction one more time, if that's okay. Consolata, please just give us a bit of a background on how, even as a psychologist, you could have chosen any other field, and maybe you do, but then your passion or probably why to choose the field of FGM.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity. Why I chose to be a psychologist, and especially for the young girls, It's because I have that passion to be able to help the young girls because of what I have seen them go through, how I have seen them being mismanaged by the society, by their parents, by people who they hold dear, people who are supposed to stand in for them and be able to help them to come out as people who can stand on their own in the society. And so it all started when I went for training. You know, when I joined training at Africa International University to train as a counselor. And then later on, I started working with the Edwina, and that's how now I started meeting these young girls coming in and getting to know their issues, their experiences, and some of them were very disheartening. And I felt that I was in a position to be able to stand in for these girls, to be able to help them. Because some of them come and you need to do everything. Like you start from parenting, help them to understand what love is, because they are broken, totally broken. And it's like a person, you break the person and you start building pole pole, little by little, until now they become whole, they are able to stand on their own. And it is a joy to see someone who came in broken and then later on you see this person is able to stand on their own. It is something that is fulfilling, yeah.
And I would definitely look forward to having that conversation where we just talk about probably the journey of that and what it looks like and how different it is from one girl to another. Yeah. Elvin, did I say it right?
Yeah, Elvin.
Gem Trust, how does it tie into the conversation that we're having today?
So Gem Trust first off started as a reservoir for research to provide evidence around women's rights. So 16 years later, we found a lot of research and information and data, and we got into programming around gender equality, and FGM is one of the thematic areas that we work around. So FGM, for Gem Trust, what we work around is to lobby government to be able to implement the policies that they've put in place. For example, we know that the Anti-FGM Act has marked 15 years this year, and President Uhuru Kenyatta also did commit that we should end FGM by 2026. So what Gem Trust does is to lobby government, bring government on board, and also turn to international mechanisms like the universal periodic review processes to be able to remind government to make recommendations to government around ending FGM and women's rights in general. So what we do is to provide evidence to lobby government to be able to, implement and to ensure that the policy implementations are, we can see them bear fruit, and generally to ensure that girls can enjoy bodily autonomy, they have agency, and speak for themselves.
Okay. Yeah. I think we'll also find out how that is looking and how we're doing, because, with the target of 2026, we're in 2026. How far have we gone in just making sure that we've come to the end of FGM? Is it happening? Are we close? We'll come back to all of that and probably what needs to be done. Yeah. Edwina, karibu sana.
Asante.
Valentine's pia inaendelea, lakini umeniambia hii ni ya kila siku.
Every day is Valentine's.
Kara Projects, how does it tie into the conversations around FGM?
Kara Projects has 5 arms, okay. The main one being Kara Girls Rescue Center, okay, where we've been able to work with over 800 girls, 800 yes. children who have come through the rescue center, most of whom are survivors of FGM that has led them to become survivors of child marriage. But of course, being close to Ngong Town, because we are 5 kilometers from Ngong Town, we also have other forms of violence against children.
Okay, so this is a rescue center?
Yes, Kara Girls Rescue Center is a rescue center. Okay. But now Kara Projects is an NGO that has other programs, and among them is sustainable housing program. We have a home-based support program. We also have a mentorship program, which entails also advocacy. And then we also have a women empowerment program.
Okay. Elvin, is the organization Gem Trust also based in Kajiado or the environs of, or is it, national?
Yeah, it's national. We are based
Okay.
in Nairobi, but we work in Kajiado, we
Okay.
work in Machakos, Siaya, Dadaab. Dadaab is not a county, but yeah.
I get what you mean. Yeah.
But we work across the nation.
What does it look like? Maybe just paint a picture for anyone who's just thinking, sisi tunaishi na huku tu na we don't know what those things look like, ama what is happening on those end. Si walisema imeisha, kwani mnasema ijaisha. So when you can, if you can just paint a clear picture of what it looks like now as we speak, and just having celebrated International Day of zero tolerance to ending FGM, how does it look? How is it looking?
So when you say that, that happens over there, I could say that I also come from a county, Busia County, where FGM prevalence is really low.
It's really high, yeah.
So it's not something that I grew up witnessing or experiencing until, I go to university and I came to meet people who have experienced FGM. And the assumption that people make is that, it is a one-time thing and you leave it behind. But that is not the truth. The trauma lives on, the lack of trust among from survivors to family and to friends, and even the way they move around life is there. The quality of life of survivors also is reduced in a certain way, because you move through life with a certain level of fear, you move through life with trauma, you also move through life, expecting that in one way or the other, your choices are not your own. They have to be informed by someone else. So FGM, of course, the goal was, when there was political goodwill from the former president, that by 2026 we'll be able to end FGM. There was budgetary allocation for that. But, the president left office and you have a new government. So political goodwill, of course, shifts with the government of the day. Yeah. And that means that there has been a rollback on the gains that were made before that commitment was made by the then president. And as you can see now, there is an emerging trend of, FGM happening across the border, that our girls would go across the Tanzanian border to be cut and then come back. We're also experiencing the emerging trend of medicalization of FGM, because, the assumption that if a doctor does it, then it's not so bad.
Okay. Yeah.
And then there is also an emerging trend, not an emerging trend, but now hotspot counties are shifting from what we're normally used to being Kajiado. Now we can see FGM happening in Meru. We are seeing FGM happening in other counties. Yes, that usually we don't expect for them to happen. So there is that change in society. I guess there is that, of course, among young people wanting to relate to where they come from, understanding their culture and their way of life. And those are some of the things that are coming up that are harmful. And young people are then embracing them, thinking that they're embracing culture without the knowledge that culture is something that shifts. That we make culture, people make culture. Culture doesn't make people.
That's true.
So there is that shift, and there is uptick in certain counties that we really don't expect. And the gains that we had made, the political goodwill, the budgeting that was there has really rolled back.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, you might not be able to end FGM by 2026 as we had envisioned with President Uhuru Kenyatta.
You've mentioned something, and maybe we'll, maybe in the next conversation, probably after the break, we'll get to it. But also understanding when you're saying that we have young people who want to be tied in or understand or be one with the culture, what does that mean? Has it shifted from how girls will just be taken to an auntie and be forced on them, or has that changed to now we want to be a part of that, or is it still happening? But as you ponder on that, Grace, I hope your mic is okay now. Ulikuwa unatuambia, you were telling us where you come from and how you ended up being part of the social worker in this Catholic church. Maybe you can just take it up again, just in case mic haikukuwa mzuri sana.
I said earlier that I work for Compassion.
Yes.
As a social worker.
Yeah.
So when I was working there, we still fought against FGM.
Yeah.
And FGM, we can only declare it null and void if we start with our mothers. Because as they say, lugha ya mama.
Yeah.
it is a mother at home that trains her little kid that you'll be a complete woman if you have gone through FGM. And it is, unless we bring the girls who have not gone through FGM on board so that they can share it boldly that to be a woman is not necessarily you must go through FGM. But otherwise, having worked for so many years in a WASO, I believe and I know it is being practiced, but in a very secretive manner.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think we need to bring the parents, like Edwina, you have a lot of work to do. Train the young parents that you cannot, the only thing you can do is to let your child live whole.
Okay.
No, because it's a painful, I know it's a very painful
experience.
Thing. Yeah.
And when you say mothers, you are very particular with mothers.
Yeah.
And you insisted on Niluga ya mama.
Yeah.
So we had this conversation a couple of weeks ago, and it also came out very strongly that we, the women, are the ones who are the perpetrators of this.
Yes, Maasai men don't sit with their daughters, so they have nothing to talk about FGM.
Yeah.
It's a mother who trains a girl, and it is a mother who tells her husband that your daughter is now grown. So after you've told your husband that your daughter is grown, the next thing is, how do we do it? You have to take your daughter through FGM, because it's a taboo to get a baby before you've gone through FGM. So I'm still saying we need to go back to the grassroots and train. We do thorough training on the young mothers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of myths that we need to demystify as well. What does this mean, becoming a full woman? What is the indicator of that? If it's FGM, how does that help you become? What are those lies that are being peddled through to the young ones and the young girls as well? And I have so many questions, and we'll definitely get back to that. But Consolata, what's the youngest that you've dealt with? The youngest girl who probably, do you deal with them before they go through FGM or after the deed has been done?
The youngest I've dealt with is 6 years old.
6?
Yeah, but not because of FGM.
Okay.
Yeah, because of the girl being given as a token to, when the sister is being taken for marriage, 15-year-old, and this 6-year-old girl is being given as a token.
Wait. So the 15-year-old girl is being given away as a bride. That's a child bride, right?
Yes.
And then this man gets the 6-year-old as a bonus of this marriage.
Yes.
Okay. So, okay, let me come back. So the 6-year-old, how did you meet them at that age, or did you meet them when they were a bit older?
Just at 6 years old. You know, this a 6-year-old is a baby.
This is a child.
Yes, and she doesn't even understand why she's at the rescue center. She has a mother, she has a father. So she keeps on asking, she wants to go back home. When is mommy coming to take me home? And you don't know how to explain, because she needs to be protected. She doesn't understand what is going on at all. And I think the bottom line is culture, and a lot of it is poverty. Yeah, a lot of it is poverty. Because when the parents are not able to provide for these children, and sometimes even giving the daughters to marriage is because of that.
Of poverty.
Yes. And they don't understand. Sometimes it's not really, I think people just need to be psychoeducated.
Yes.
Because you can see that this is a young man, this is a young woman who can be able to do something to be able to take care of their children, to take care of their family. So they don't really understand the meaning of a family, that a child needs to grow within a family. There are so many things that this child is able to learn from this family.
And a 6-year-old, surely you didn't even get the time to raise them.
No.
You gave birth and then 6 years we're going to go on a quick break. When we come back, we will definitely continue with this conversation. The question that we're asking you today is, what's the one thing that you would change about how we talk about FGM? What's the one thing you'd change about how we talk about FGM? NTV Kenya on all of our social media platforms. Be sure to also engage us on our WhatsApp line. Our number is open. Just drop us a text, whatever question you have, encouragement that you may have, a misconception that you think needs to be demystified. Please share that with us on our WhatsApp as well. We're taking a quick break. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Your World Monday edition. On this Mindful Monday, we're talking about the unseen scars, changing values and attitudes to end FGM in Kenya. And just before the break, before we go back there, let me just remind you what the question of the day is, because that conversation continued during the break and I just don't want to lose that. The question that we're asking you today is, what's the one thing you would change about how we talk about FGM? What's the one thing that you would change about how we talk about FGM? NTV Kenya on all of our social media platforms. Share your thoughts with us and your answer to our question of the day, and also talk to us on WhatsApp. Our WhatsApp number and line is open, so you can go right ahead and talk to us on that as well. We'll be checking your feedback throughout the show. What's the one thing you would change about how we talk about FGM? And our WhatsApp number is 0769 590-762, 0769 590-762. And just before the break, Consolata, and I know probably this is not directly tied into FGM, but we can't necessarily just separate the two with early childhood marriages, because the moment mom, like Grace said, mama amesema amekomaa msichana, then kazi ya mzee ni ku find out, probably now I am aware, probably for him is to look for mzee mgani, and then for the women to make sure that you are ready for that. But then you're talking about the 6-year-old who was a bonus, a token to the 15-year-old girl. And Edwina, you were just adding on to this story, and you were talking about how she must have been probably younger than 15, the child bride. Yeah.
Yes, around Corona time we had a child who was placed at the center.
Yes.
She was probably not even a teen yet, but she had gone through FGM, of course, and she had been given away in marriage.
Yeah.
And that's how, at times, FGM is also affecting other members of the family and even the society at large.
Yeah.
And so the person who had married her needed to move to a town setup because he was a security guard at night. And where he was living is a place where there are other neighbors. We would call it a plot.
Yes.
Where there are neighbors who would suspect like anything that would not be right.
Yeah.
And so to counter that, the family gave away a younger child who was less than 6 years then. And this girl was to cover up so that they would look like they're coming to visit a relative. But indeed, they had come because the older girl had been married by this man.
Yeah.
And because at night he had to go away and work, the girls would be locked in the house. And so neighbors noticed that their children, who are normally locked in the house during the day, and they never see them during the day. It's only until the man comes, in the night, sorry. It's only until the man comes that they would have the door opened. And they would not be allowed to go very far. And that was reported. That's the goodness about being a good neighbor.
Yes.
And that was reported to the children's office. And these two children were placed at the rescue center. And it is then that we started all the processes that the children go through when they get into the center, including medical attention.
Ah, fantastic. What happens then to the husband, quote unquote, the man who's paid the bride price or whatever it is that they negotiate, and you're going home with a young girl, preteen as a wife, and now we've rescued the girls? What happens to them and even the family where the girls come from?
In most cases, like in this particular case, they would be arrested. And so the man was charged, and he's still behind bars up to now because of the abuse that he caused. Not all the cases have court processes, because at times we also use diplomatic ways, because most of the time you want to reintegrate these children back to these families. And so if we can get into a consensus and have the children being accepted back into the family, been placed in school, and been given the opportunity to be children again, then the family is normally given that chance. But then there is an agreement that's normally signed, and the family also signs to this, committing that they would not expose the children to any risks again. And if they would, then the law would follow its course.
Great. And I think Consolata will talk about that, reintegration of kids who've probably experienced this, but then we've decided to settle this out of court, and now I have to probably see you every day. I have to probably respect you as society demands of us as children, but we'll come to you with that. Elvin, I'd like to find out about something that I think Consolata or Grace mentioned about poverty and the economic situation and how this leads parents to, allowing their kids to get married early, and what that means is they have to go through the court before the marriage happens. How prevalent is it with the economic situations compared to culture and sometimes religion?
So FGM, of course, is like a marker for being ready for marriage.
Yes.
When you undergo FGM, it means that you've been prepared and you're ready for marriage. And we can all agree that the economic situation right now in the country,
it's bad everywhere.
It's bad
really.
on everyone.
Yes. Yeah.
And what that means then is that girls are more likely to end up married young, and before they get married, they have to undergo the cut. And poverty, of course, the drive of poverty is a lot of things like climate change. Of course, the changing weather patterns. We might think, okay, it's raining in February and not in March. God loves us. But that lack of, there is seasons of drought or unexpected rain. So there is an impact of climate change that also leads to girls being cut because families do not have, farm produce. Families need wealth. Probably ng'ombe zilikufa during a drought period. And one way to acquire wealth is to, send off a girl into marriage and get cattle in return as bride price. So you find that economic situation that already exists and continue to worsen by the day ensures that FGM happens so that there is girls to be married off in exchange so that a family can acquire wealth. FGM is more about power. It's about what family is gaining social power. There is that respect attached to, all the girls in this family are cut. So there is that power that, families want, and that often comes at the cost of a girl's, choice, a girl's body and a girl's agency. And of course, one thing that people get wrong about FGM all the time is that FGM is culture. I do not believe as a human being that it is in our best cultural interest to undergo FGM, because the ripple effects of FGM are never ending. Girls can get fistula, teen pregnancies could end up fatal most of the times. If you're gonna have children, then those children, through that process of childbirth, there is that wound coming back again. So and also if you're being married young, the expectation is that you're going to have very many children.
Yes.
Yeah, because you're married young, so that those children will also undergo FGM and bring so much wealth to the family that you married into. So it's a never-ending cycle. If I went through it, my children will go through it. If I gave birth to 5 girls, those 5 girls,
giving birth to other 5 girls,
5 girls who will bring wealth to the family they will marry into,
yes.
Right? So it's about social power. It's about power. Of course, social power is wielded with money, and that is where we are at. On the cultural end as well, is that as a society, or as Gen Z, there has been this, I don't want to call it longing or desire, but there is this calling of young people wanting to go back to their roots and understand their culture, what, you know, who we are, why are we named the way we do, what is our music, what is our way of life, right? Okay. And I think in the recent past, maybe the past 2 years, you've seen very many festivals that are based on for where we come from. Yes. There is Bulai, there is Luo Fest, there is Ngemi, all of that. And that relation to culture, it is a beautiful thing. Yeah. I think as Gen Zs, we are the people who have been accused mostly of being out of touch with our culture and, you know, speaking our language. Yes. But then there is that uptick from young people to want to speak their native their mother tongue, for them to, you know, understand their music, to be able to socialize, understand, you know, when I'm called Ouma, this is what it means, and when I'm called Wangeshi, this is what it means, and, you know, that understanding. And then now with that desire, there is, you know, that need to go back at home and ask, you know, why am I named like this, or why do we do this? And then when you go back there, you meet a mother who believes that every woman should undergo FGM for them to be ready for marriage. Then when you go back, you're going, of course, when you go to seek knowledge from a wiser person, an older person who you deem wise, when they tell you that, you know, for you to be a full, complete woman, you have to undergo FGM, you will, you know, because you want to relate to culture, girls will be more like, okay, if my grandma says that FGM is what makes me a complete woman, then maybe I can go for FGM. What will I do? I will do it right by going to see a doctor to do it. So that's how that trend of, you know, medicalization of FGM is coming about. We want to be in touch with our culture, to understand ourselves as people, as a nation. And the people now that are passing this information, these stories to us, are passing on some of the harmful, you know, practices and stories that are not really for our well-being, but they happen. So essentially, there is an economic aspect, poverty. There is also that desire to be in touch with our community and to understand. That is also informing that trend that, okay, if I cannot be cut, you know, if I go back to home in Kajiado, then I can cross the border and go to Tanzania and be cut. And it's going to be two-way, because you probably are doing this because you and your boyfriend are like, you know what, we are understanding ourselves and grounding ourselves in our culture, so this is what culture dictates for us. And what will happen is that there will be a resurgence now of practices like FGM and many other harmful practices if this is not addressed.
I would have imagined that we know probably if the younger adult probably would know all of these things, and I don't know where it is or how we can then adjust this conversation to your culture can give you dignity instead of taking it away from you, and that not all the things that we have to go through and what our parents went through mean the same for us now. And the fact that probably you escaped not having to go through that as a young child, then it should probably, I don't know, maybe we'll just get back to that in a bit, but then yes.
Before we leave that topic about poverty.
Yes.
Poverty is not the only contributor. At times I don't even feel like poverty is. Because even out of the country, you will find women who come to Kenya to come and take their children through the cut. They have had everything that is there to be had about the effects of FGM. So when we answer to the question that you were talking about, like what do we need to change? There's the investment, which is the responsibility of the government, but also working on the mindset to change. What is this that is making a woman who is supposed to be an educated woman, a professional woman, bring her child for a cut? It goes beyond poverty. It goes beyond economy. And for our particular case where we come from, when we talk about the Maasai, I'm Maasai and Kalenjin, and both sadly still practicing FGM. And today when we talk about the Maasai, and especially the girls that we have worked with at the center, what I would think is a contributor is lack of proper leadership. Leadership that should have affected the social security of these children. You will be told when you go to the remote that enrollment age is really high, like not high, like at an advanced age, so that a girl will be left until maybe 7, 8, 9, 10 years for her to go to playgroup or PP1. This girl is already maturing by the time she's going to main primary school. Before long, she's already going through the cut. She does not know what her right is because FGM is a violation of the rights of the women and the girls. And so this girl has gone through FGM, and everybody in her family has gone through FGM. And whatever is self-actualization for her is getting married.
Yeah.
So she has gone through the first step, and so the next step is marriage. And immediately she goes through FGM, then she can now start interacting. We heard that it is a taboo to give birth to a child when you have not gone through FGM. So when you have already overcome that obstacle, of course it's not wrong, it's not impossible. And I normally tell the girls, I've not gone through FGM, and I'll tell you, that's a story for another day.
No,
and all my relatives, all my immediate female relatives have gone through FGM. Only my sister and I didn't go through FGM. And I normally tell the girls, I didn't go through it, and I have my children, thank God. And they're all healthy, and again, I thank God for that. So what is self-actualization for them is getting married. When they've already gone through FGM, and during that time, they're then given the liberty to now go and become as sexually active as they can. Again, the failure of the government, because then they do not have sexual reproductive education. They do not know anything about contraception. So what do you expect when the girls have gone through FGM and they've been let loose? Pregnancy. And then the family now has the power to give them away in marriage. And then the centers are full of children who are teen mothers. And that's why, like, our county, Kajiado, has a very high rate of child mothers. When you go to the medical facilities, you'll find that, especially in the rural areas, over 50% are child mothers who are delivering in those facilities. So that will not change until FGM is sorted.
Okay. Do you mind sharing what happened? How rebellious did you need to be?
No, it's just like it should have been for the other children. That's why I was saying some of them, it's not out of their desire.
Yeah.
It's beyond their control that they go through FGM. They only learn about it, and they say, if only
I knew,
like something would have been done.
Yes.
If only I would have been placed like in a place like Kara before I went through, or in a family that is safe, because right now we are moving away again from institutional care, residential care. So that's another topic for another day. So I am Maasai and Kalenjin. My dad was Maasai, my mom was Kalenjin, they're long gone. And my dad worked with children. He was the director of children's services. By then there was no state department, so he was like the boss of the children's services. And there's no way he would be talking about children being protected, yet his girls, he was exposing them. So all his brothers, all his relatives took their children through the cut. My own mother went through FGM. So again, it's also from their conscience that told them that, because we also have very many duty bearers who are saying one thing on the microphones,
and
then when they go back home, it's something totally different. So I thank God for those parents, because they did protect us, and I really thank God that I didn't go through the cut.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Grace, for you, you had to go through the cut.
Of course.
Yeah. How was that for you? How old were you? And even being able to talk about it now and be in the community that you went through that in this community, and you're now standing up in the same community saying no to this.
I think I went through a cut when I was 13, 14.
Yeah.
Because I was in a boarding school. I was a rescue girl, like what I'm doing now. Somebody rescued me, and I was taken to a boarding school, a school called AIC Kajiado. And then when I went home for Christmas, I thought I was going to be happy with my parents. It was very bad. It was an experience that I will never forget. So sometimes when I talk about it, I feel like it is happening right
again. Yeah.
And through it, I was able to, I'm a mother of 5 daughters, and they have not gone through it because of the pain. I didn't want them to feel what I felt.
Yeah.
And as I said earlier, it is the mothers, because I remember my mother was so vigorous. She wanted me to be a woman. She was the one calling people, bringing all the things for me to be cut. And then I could ask her, Mama, is all this going to happen to me on your eyes? And she could say, yes. because I did it and I was done. I went through it, so you'll go through it. So I think instead of the government now campaigning against FGM,
Yes.
it is now the women and the church.
Yes.
Because all these women, they are in churches. Like the reason I was able to say no to FGM to my own children, because my church, our pastor was against it. So if you happen to do it, you will cease from becoming a member of that church. But still some people could take their children and kwa siri wanafanyiwa, unasimamishwa, sasa utakuwa member. So I still feel like it is now the church to work against this vocally. Like there was a time in Ewaso we stopped doing it because the Catholic Church did a lot of trainings to the parents, to the school children, until when the schools are closed, instead of children staying at home, they are taken for seminars. That's the only thing that can protect them. I'm saying the church is able to change everything. Just like you can change a sinner from being a sinner to somebody who is...
Yeah, righteous.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the church and the women, still say the women because my mother did force me to go what I didn't know what to do. And these are the women, they are forcing their children. And then the other instrument we can use is the young boys.
Okay.
They should say, we will not marry cat girls. So if you think your daughter will be marketable, sasa wasichana ambao hawajakatwa bei yao iende juu. The dowry should be higher,
yeah.
more than those that have gone through the cut. Okay. So we have 3 groups to work with: the women, the church, and especially the church and the young men.
Yeah.
So we'll be going, Edwina will be going to schools, training our boys to say no to girls who have gone through the cut. I don't know how they will know.
It's the same way that we are also selling the story of women who've been cut.
Yes.
Because there's no way, probably before I marry you, to know that you've been cut. Probably they don't even know what to look out for. You know what I mean? And when you're talking about women, there are women like you as well, Grace, who've stood in the gap and said, my 5 girls will not. And they have learned from you, and that means it will not continue on your lineage. When uliuliza mam, na macho yako tu hivi unaangalia na wewe umeamua macho yangu hivi nikiangalia haitafanyika. But you know, going back to the community and being this vocal woman and talking about these things and being very bold in saying no. Sisi kama kanisa, mimi kama social worker, mimi kama mama ya wasichana, ninasema hapana. How has that been received in your community? Kwa sababu naamini unafanyia tu pale tu.
Yes. In the first place, I remember my last born daughter was asking me, Mom, will I ever have a child if I have not gone through the cut? My last born. You see?
Yeah.
And then I could tell her.
It's that real. It's that real. Yeah.
That one forced me to take my girls to boarding schools like St. Mary's, because if they are in the village schools, watakuwa netu na mnanuka because you've not gone through FGM.
Oh, yeah.
They say that? Yes. Okay, so you're already facing discrimination.
So I could,
in
and
class.
if anybody comes to my home, if you talk about FGM in my home, you'll walk out.
Good.
Because I will not entertain. I know the pain. And as a social worker, I've worked with children who have been affected by fistula. So I know the danger.
Yes.
Ni wakati ngapi tumepeleka watoto hospitali kwa sababu ya hiyo, because of FGM. So sasa hiyo inanifanya niwe tena bold.
Yes.
And kwangu nilipeleka watoto boarding so that wasisumbuliwe na society.
Yes.
But even now they are grown ups, they have children, wamesoma, so wanaangaliwa kwa heshima kwa sababu hiyo yaribu akili. It rather make somebody to be proud of herself.
Absolutely.
Na kufanya bidii.
Kweli. Vile tu Edwina alisema about changing the mindset, kwa sababu pia yao ilibadilika. The society, when they see and they're able to attach good things to that, then it changes even how they think. I want us to take a quick break, but when we come back, Consolata, we've talked about the physical scars. Let's talk about the psychological scars that people will not see, but these girls every other day. Grace is saying, when I talk about it today, I am feeling like I'm experiencing the pain all over again. She was a teen. But when she talks about it today, she still feels that kind of pain. So we'll talk about the psychological scars when we come back. The question that we are asking you today, even as we talk about the unseen scars and changing values and attitudes towards to end FGM in Kenya. The question is, what's the one thing you'd change about how we talk about FGM? What's the one thing you'd change about how we talk about FGM? NTV Kenya on all of our social media platforms. Our WhatsApp line is open as well. We'll definitely be looking at your feedback and get back with that on Facebook as well as WhatsApp. So feel free to talk to us on those platforms. We'll be right back after this break. Welcome back to Your World Monday edition, Mindful Monday. And the question that we're asking you today, even as we talk about ending FGM, is what's the one thing you'd change about how we talk about FGM? What's the one thing you'd change about how we talk about FGM? And looking at the feedback on our Facebook, we have its Central C says its origin is from the culture, which entitled it to the community, leaving behind evolution of culture. Patrick Gidinji says, when government talks of ending FGM, particularly in the arid areas, let them first have plenty water in place. Okay. Arab Qatar says at least the government will be their heir to inherit what they are looking for in terms of building their careers. Modern feminism will be the end of human race. Collinson Wanyoike. Surely. And we have a bit of feedback on our WhatsApp. Let's take a look what our WhatsApp wanasema aje leo hii. It says, hello. Hello, Your World and TV. I have a question. What does this cultures really think they are? Think are the benefits of FGM? Why is it so hard for them to let it go? What are the benefits of that? Maybe we'll talk about that. I went through the cut when I was around 8. I was a child. I was tricked into it. They didn't tell me what they were going to do to me. I'm 26 at the moment. Most of my age mates were lucky enough not to go through it. I just wish someone could have helped me back then. It's sad that I feel ashamed for something I didn't do to myself willingly. FGM is wickedness, and I'm from Kisii, by the way. Thank you for sharing with us, Queen. Hello, I'm Caroline Koske. Thank you for this program. I did social work and community development. How can I work with her to save more young girls? I think we'll share contacts with Edwina and Elvin and also Consolata, Pia Grace to just see how you can be part of that. But the first question that was asked, what does the community think the culture is? Like, what are the benefits of having this done?
I don't think there's any benefit because I could have told you the benefit.
Absolutely. But what is the alluding?
They say you'll change your mindset because you'll not behave like a child.
Child anymore. Also, you become a grown woman.
Yeah, you're not a grown up. Yeah, so you fit the society.
You fit in society, so you're not told things, and other girls are just looking at you funny. Okay. So yes.
Something else is pleasure for the men. If you undergo FGM, it will be more pleasurable.
For the men?
For your sexual
There's no pleasure.
No.
There isn't.
I mean,
the quote unquote, you're doing this to be acceptable to the man and to make them enjoy.
Yeah.
Okay.
There
okay.
is,
lies, all of them lies, guys.
According to them, they also believe that they are preserving the purity of this particular person that is going through FGM.
But the most of it all is that they say you go through FGM, you'll not be jumping, yeah? You'll become faithful. You'll not have multiple partners.
They kill the excitement bit of you so that you can be faithful to your man who can marry 55 others. Okay, great. Good to know. Before we went on a break, Consolata, the question that I'd asked about the psychological scars, we've seen what it can look like physically. And just like psychological scars, it is not a now thing that it's over. It keeps recurring. With every childbirth, you probably have to go through, you know, a wear and tear and all of that, and the wound opening up again. But when you talk about the psychological scars that we carry on through our life, from when you're a teen and you've gone through the cut?
I have my experience with the young teenagers. I have seen it like it triggers the sexual, their sexuality. So these girls, they start behaving, because now you remember one of the perceived benefit is that it's a sign of transitioning from childhood to womanhood. And when this girl has an awareness that I'm now a woman, and I think because of this, the trauma that they have gone through, they tend to be careless with their sexuality. So you find that this girl, if they don't get married, if they're not given to early marriage to older men, then most of the time you find them giving birth with a boyfriend as early as 14 years, 15 years, 16 years. They become teen mothers. Yeah, because of the trauma. And you know, nobody understands that these children they are going through trauma, and the trauma is very funny. Sometimes it goes unnoticed. Because you just live with people who think that you are normal. So they see your mood swings, they see the way you become rebellious, but nobody understands what is going on within you. So most of the time I see girls, when they are brought at the center, they become very rebellious, they are withdrawn. They normally come, that they're rescued. If you ask them, what do you want Kara to do for you? They say, I want to go back to school. But they don't have even a little interest in that education. So they don't really work hard, because something is going on within them that they can't explain. You know, they are children, and I have also learned that they're very attached to their family and to their culture. As much as they go through these things, they will not sometimes give you the information so that you're able to help them, because they're still protecting their parents, you know. So they don't really, you can walk with this child for months, you still don't know what is really going on. You can see that this child depressed, very rebellious. Sometimes they become very rude, and you know, even to the caregivers, they don't understand them sometimes. So this child is going through so many things, and sometimes they come and tell you, when you ask them their story, they will only tell you the part of marriage, but they don't really talk about FGM. It is not easy for them to talk about it. And the moment you start asking, they'll start crying. Or the next time when I come, they will say, I don't want to go for counseling, you know, things like that. Because there are things they are not ready to talk about. So this is somebody you can work with for a very long time. And sometimes at some point you feel that this person is healed. And then when they meet they encounter triggers, and then they become just the way they came in when they were rescued. So there's a lot of things going on, depression sometimes, and above all, one thing I have realized, most of them are not able to concentrate in school. They want education. But they can't do well, they can't perform, because of so many things. Remember, you were taken for FGM, and then you are taken for early marriage, then you are rescued with a child, a baby. So she comes with a baby, she's a teenager. Sometimes it takes them time. You have even to teach them how to love their children, because this child reminds her of what she has gone through, or this child somehow take away her her freedom to be a teenager, just a normal teenager, to be able to enjoy her life as a teenager. So they go through a lot of things, depression, anxiety, you know, some of them become so wild at some point. But I'm glad that when you walk with them, with time they start changing. And at some point, it's an everyday thing. they change, and then at some point you see that you will come in and you're told so and so today was just fighting with others, you know, just becoming aggressive and fighting. So it's not easy for them. FGM, early marriage, it's a difficult thing for those girls. They go through issues that sometimes you can't take in as a person. Me as a person, you know, a child telling you that it was my mom who forced me, you know, like I had a case where this girl was telling me that she tried all means. The mother separated from the father and got a new person, and now this girl is able to this I don't know what they talked with the man. So I don't know whether she wanted this girl to be able to bear a child for this man. I didn't understand the situation. So it was now the mom who actually made sure that the man forced himself on this girl. And it's difficult to understand, difficult to deal with such a situation. Yeah. But even as that, this girl comes, and when you talk to her, she really wants forgiveness from the mother, you know? Because, you know, at some point now, when now taking legal measures, the authority comes in, the man is jailed, the mother is also taken to jail. But this girl is still longing
for that connection
yeah,
with the
for the
man.
freedom.
Yes.
That her mother will be freed, you know,
Yes.
because she needs her family. And if if the parents can get even a little chance and talk to this child, and this child get convinced so easily, because they really want to belong, they want to identify, because now identity issues is also a problem.
Yeah.
So when they're going through those things, you don't know where you belong, because a family, some of them say, my father cursed me. And they believe that when their father, because their father cursed them, when something happens, they are not doing well in life, they believe that it is the curse from the father that is following them. And as you walk with them, you try to give them skills, psychoeducate them, help them to be able to overcome. And some of them get out of it. Some of them, you even wonder if they will ever get out of their trauma, because it comes in and goes, comes in and goes. It's, yeah.
That's a long journey to walk with someone.
It's a long journey,
How we've grown up, our parents are demigods.
Yeah.
I want everything they say about me to be good. I want them, even if they're doing bad things to me, I am hoping there's something good in there that will come out of it, you know. So having to walk this journey, I don't know how you are blessed in, you know, numerous ways to be able to have this conversation without probably having them hate their parents, just focusing on them to be able to heal themselves and be better humans than probably the ones that raised them. And I think it begs the question for Grace, how was because you were rescued first. After being rescued, womb end at Christmas. And then now you have to go through that and then go back to AIC where you're studying. And how was the relationship with your folks? Were you isolated completely, or did you cut off that? Were you able to, as a child, to do that at all, or did it happen like later in life? And what kind of help did you need other than just being rescued?
I went back to AIC, and you know, those days it's nothing like where you can hide your child from going home. But I remember my brother, I had an elder brother who really fought, lakini he hid that babangu asijue kwamba yeye ndiye alisema niende shule. But every time we close school, yeye ananipeleka kwa makanisa, I go for camps, because he saw the danger. Nilienda Christmas, nikakatwa.
Yeah.
So this time round, he feels, and I will go for Christmas again, for holiday, the next thing I'll be given off. I'll be married off.
Yes.
So me, I've not been staying at home. I've been going from one church to another, these Pentecostal churches, and I grew up a Christian. That healing your son, but I still missed home. But whenever I tell my brother I want to go see my mother, he reminds me, oh, you remember the incident? And I could say, yeah. So it has not been easy,
Yeah.
but because every child needs a parent.
Yes.
And sometimes I feel like, is that what wanted? Maybe God wanted me to do, to go through so that I can be a help to other children, because I understand.
Yeah.
So it has not been easy.
Easy.
Yeah.
And Edwina, you mentioned something earlier where you talked about probably the facility that is available for as a rescue center might not continue for long. Is that if I understood it right?
Yes. And when I'm just sitting here, I'm thinking, I think even your theme should have been multiple scars, not even hidden scars.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking there's the scar in the genitalia, there is the scar in the heart, and
Yes.
there is the social
scars.
So it's multiple scars.
It's multiple scars, because imagine being reminded by your own brother that
yes,
hauwezi enda kuona mom.
Yes. And so currently we have had regulation that has been passed by the government in line with the care reforms that is working very hard to stop residential care of children. We have braced ourselves for this because, as Grace says, every child longs to be with family. Yes. And the cases that we have been dealing with at the rescue center are mostly harmful practices. We don't take in children because like they are orphaned or like there's no food or there's no education. It's because there's a crisis. There's something very bad and very serious that has happened that needs the children to be away from that place where they are into a safe place. And it's very nice because we have started our journey towards care reforms, and wonderful Grace has opened up her home as a potential foster care parent because now we would be moving from the rescue center into family and community care, where we now prepare the children, the families who would be the foster parents, who would then be receiving these children, who are not just ordinary children. Yeah. As you've heard, these are children who are coming with multiple scars.
Multiple scars, yes.
Some of them are even suicidal. Some of them want to run. And at the center we have a perimeter wall. But I'm sure at Grace's, but at Grace's, I'm not sure that there's a perimeter wall. Yes. So there's a lot of work that will need to be done so that these families can be empowered to take care of these wounded children, because the situation has not changed. We still have so many that are going through the cut, so many who are being sexually exploited, so many who need refuge. So it's going to be an interesting journey, but we are ready for it because we believe it's time to transition. Yes, of course, there are people who've taken advantage of children in institutions. Yes. And yes, there should be a way, because like in Elgeyo Marakwet, where we also work, we do not have residential care for children who are in need. But that does not mean that there are no cases. Yeah. So, and like in Kajiado, we have, I think, like 79 children institutions that are known by the government. Yes. So there are many others that are not known by the government. So that is what is bothering the government at the moment, that we want to reduce all the children who are in institutions that don't need to be there. And even still, if possible, no child should be in an institution. But there is still a place for rescue centers and rehabs, but we are willing to go this journey of transitioning into family and community support.
What does that look like in terms like on ground expectations of these homes? And I'm sure Grace is here will tell us a bit about how she's handling it or how she will handle it. Or
the beauty about Grace is that she's been doing it.
Yes.
And how I even know her is because we have worked where girls run to her home. And then when they ran to her home, she'd call the children's office. Mr. Carrera, I have this girl. What do we do with this one? Yes. And then Mr. Carrera would say, bring them to Cara. We'll follow up with the placements later. So we've been working together. And of course, that's how Consolata would come into the picture. Yes. Then there's a case management where there's the psychological side of it that needs to be attended to. So for her, she wouldn't be learning. But now you can imagine how it is with the sensitization, where the women ask, Now, what happens if this girl gets pregnant and you have brought her, she gets the second
Yeah,
pregnancy?
because it
Am I
gets a
bringing
bit
trouble to
complicated
myself?
because I'm bringing you to a home.
Yes.
How do I need to prepare? How do we vet these homes and all of that? How do we make sure that this is a safe haven
Yes.
for the girls?
And they would ask, I only have a structure that is in the middle of the field.
Yes.
I do not have a wall.
Yes.
So what happens if she runs away and I need to go for firewood and water?
No, really, what happens?
I understand when somebody asks in the WhatsApp,
Yeah.
like we need to have water first, because like in the
Yes.
ASAL areas, if you sort the water, you'll reduce some of this sexual exploitation, because the girls are being exploited when they're going to fetch water and firewood and all of these things. So of course, she'll not stay there, remain at home and take care of this foster child. So then again, of course, there are many of the families that are around the community, because we're in the remote area. So there are so many families that are still struggling. They can't feed themselves. So you're now putting another mouth for them to feed.
That.
So there's a lot of expectation around that. But what we are hoping that we can do is redirect the resources that are being used at the center now to go and support these families, even increase maybe their spaces. If they have maybe just one room, maybe just add another space where they can have more children and they can be safe. So it's a journey. We don't quite have a blueprint, but we are excited and willing and optimistic to go this journey.
You guys are the ones who are creating the blueprint now. Yes. Everybody else that comes after you will be learning from what has been done. Yes. Will there be certifications that need to be done for the homes?
Yes, because we would go through trainings, like Grace has already started the foster care training, and that would be done by the the State Department of Children Services. Yes. So they would have, we are supposed to have like 3 months of training. We started that already. And then after the training, we can have certificates. But even before the training ends, we can already start placing the children, because now the direction says there is no more placement of children in the centers. So since December, we have not received any child. But that does not mean that their children, like all the children are safe. We are getting all calls, we are getting all complaints, we are hearing all cases. But because we like just doing things right, going through the children's office, going through the courts and having everything done well, we just have to wait until everything is. So we have already started the journey.
I don't envy you with the phone calls coming in and you're not able to do anything
Yes,
about
it's really depressing.
I don't think it's not a good thing.
Yes,
it's not a good thing.
Easy.
I want us to take a quick break. When we come back, I'd like to find out from Grace as well how the situation with the shift that is happening now, and you being able not to be able to call and be like, niko na watu hapa nataka niwalete. Now you being the person that is taking all of that in. How ready are you now for all of that, and what does that mean in terms of probably providing for them? And not just providing in terms of food and shelter and all of that, because we also need Consolata to be part of the team. And is Consolata moving from home to home and all of that? So we'll come back with all of that. The question that we're asking you today is, what's the one thing you would change about how we talk about FGM? What's the one thing you would change about how we talk about FGM? NTV Kenya on all of our social media platforms. Feel free to drop us a text on our WhatsApp. I'll be looking at your feedback after this break. That probably the next 30 minutes will help us get the answers to probably a direction to, because now with the shift of moving from the centers into personal homes, there's so many things that probably need to be factored in. I don't know if they've already been factored in or not, but like Edwina said, blueprint we are making as we go. The transition is already happening. The question we are asking you today is, what's the one thing you'd change about how we talk about FGM? What's the one thing you would change about how we talk about FGM? And on Facebook, Mambia Nyansiri says, personally, I come from areas where FGM up to now is being practiced. It has come to a situation where married women go back kwa vichaka so that they can go through FGM because of silly abuse na kudharauliwa kutoka kwa familia ambaye ameolewa. So this is the issue according to me. Government fails at a point where wanatuma agents were anti-FGM to an area where they are not familiar with. where they do not even know how the culture started and how it's going currently. I think dawa ya moto ni moto, let the government use watu wanaotoka kwa hizo kabila. Wawe wao ndio wanaongea na watu wao, sababu wanaelewa weak point ya kuconvince waache hizo mila, and also let them come up with different formats. Since 1990s, they have been saying early marriage, losing blood, infections, but nothing changes. It's time now they change the script of convincing. Already wenye wana practice wanajua hizo effects. So find a different script and approach. Otherwise, tutarudi pale pale kwamba mwanzilishi ndio mwenye siri ya kumaliza. Change the script. That is my view. Mambia Nyansiri. What do you think about that? Yes. Having people from the same, because they know hii kichaka ni wapi inaendewa, na other than wanajua ni hospitali gani, ni daktari mgani anapelekewa, you know those things. So instead of bringing people from other places that do not understand the language, they do not understand how deeply and rooted this culture is. Okay, let's take a look at WhatsApp as well. Our feedback from WhatsApp. Thank you, Philip. This is a much needed conversation. I'm from Kajiado. I went through the cut at just 14 and I still carry the pain now, almost 25. It's not a question of poverty, actually. It's just a bad cultural norm that steals innocence of young girls. The community feels like if you don't conform, then you become an outcast. It's a shame that this is still going on in this modern age. It really is a shame. Can I get the contacts of the dear ladies on the panel? I'm Martha Ann Bore. I handle teen girls in pregnancy crisis, been offering shelter in my home and liaising with the children's department. Normally the children get abandoned with me. Interested in the foster training. And I think that comment right there is the reason we have this conversation, to just be able to reach out, and we never know. And I don't know, maybe we can share our contacts. Is the training happening? Is it open? Yes. Can they get it directly from you, Edwina? Maybe you can just share your contacts.
Yes, so you'd get us at Kara Girls Rescue Center, okay. Kara Projects, Edwina Kwala. Just write a message and we will get back.
Say all of that again slowly.
Okay.
Kama alikuwa natafuta kalamu.
Kara with C-A-R-A Projects with an S at the end. Kara Girls Rescue Center or Edwina Kwala. Kwala is K-W-A-L-L-A-H.
Yes.
Yes, just write a text on whatever platform, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, everywhere. I'm not a very good person on social media, but I'm trying.
We will definitely answer that DM. You'll definitely answer. Yes, okay, and how can people work with Gem Trust as well?
So you can reach us on, we're not on Instagram, but you can reach us on X and on LinkedIn. On X, we are Gem_Africa. And on LinkedIn, we are Gem Trust. So our full name is African Gender and Media Initiative Trust. So if you go on our website, there is a contact box. You can leave your message and email. You can leave an email, definitely. That's the best way that you can reach us, and we can respond to you promptly when you leave an email.
Okay.
Yeah.
Consulate, is there a way to get you directly, or do we have to go through Kara?
At the moment, you can get me through Kara.
You should have seen Edwina saying, say yours. Stop tagging us along.
Okay. Yeah, you can get me through Kara, or you can also just call directly. Yeah.
Okay. And then, are you comfortable to give the number on air, or we can give it?
Yes, I am very comfortable.
Okay.
Yeah. 0721 962 593. Consolata.
One more time.
0721 962 593.
Okay. Grace.
You can share. You can get me through.
Kara.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And there's a question that I was asking just before, because the transition is happening and you're already blueprint ni wewe saizi, Grace, right? And what does that look like? Do you get to choose who comes in, who doesn't, and what are some of the probably the security measures you've had to take to just protect? No, it's not just about you. Kuna watu wako na wewe hapo wenye ni wa wenyewe lakini ni wako.
So the good thing is that the children office is involved.
Yes.
So I think if we work with the chiefs and the chief, the people in my area are aware, plus the police and the chief, I think I'll be secure. Yeah, because it's not easy.
It's not.
Very dangerous, especially because I don't think I'll work with big girls where they will say, oh, you refuse me to marry a girl. They look small children rather.
Yeah.
Who are not from the location.
Okay, okay.
Because
we will convince her until she takes the big girls. Because she's the one who's been receiving the big girls.
Yes.
And everyone is running away from the big girls.
Yes. Unakataa big girls kwa sababu inakaa
Wazee watasema ulitukataza bibi.
Ulitukataza bibi wakuje kukufuata wewe. But then you said something about probably getting girls who are not from the the locality. How effective is that? Do you work from different children departments from different parts of the country?
So what we would do with the children's office is that we'd have girls from our area and say Grace's area would be taken to another part. We all come from Kajiado West.
Yes.
So we would, and Kajiado West is really vast. It borders Tanzania, it borders Narok, it borders Machakos, it borders Kiambu. Like it's really vast.
Yeah.
And so we'd get, I'm excited when I hear somebody who's interested in the foster care parenting, because then the more the parents, the better it is, because then we'd have more people who can receive, and really hopeful that we can also receive, we can get these people who would be willing to take in, like the older girls, the teenage girls, because these are the ones that are in trouble most of the time. So even at the center, at the rescue center, we have not been receiving girls from our locality because we attend the local church. When they're ready for school, we go to the local school, and they just be like typical children. They'd be walking back to the center, they'd be walking to church and coming back to the center. So of course, if you have somebody who's attending church with the family, it doesn't make sense. So they have to go to a different, at least a different village where they are not known. But most of us are just from, especially when you have the clans, we just belong to almost the same clan. And so when somebody hears, oh, this is Makesen and that is my sister,
but
so that's an issue.
Okay, sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
Wouldn't that make it easier for people to identify who to discriminate against? If they know that, you know, of course, if the system grows, and people will be able to tell that probably Elvin came because she was rescued from undergoing FGM, then they'll be stigmatized in school because it will be easy to identify that, oh, she didn't grow up here. She came, she came into this community because she didn't want to get cut.
So when the children come into the center or looking for care, there is a case management, and that's how you have the counseling and everything. So it's not a permanent solution. Even the rescue is not a permanent place. That's what, it's a temporal place. So they are there for the shortest time possible. And the social work department is working really hard to be able to reintegrate this child back to that family. And it's a lot of work because at the beginning, remember I said we've worked with over 800 children.
Yes.
Most of these ones, say even 600, have gone back to their families. So there's a possibility when there is mediation for these children to go back into those families. And we've had very emotional reintegration processes where you have a father who had cursed, and cursing is serious. Nobody wants to be cursed by the father. So people who had been cursed and things were not working and they believed I'm totally cursed because I went against my... And you see the father sitting there and the child leaning over and everybody is crying and there's reconciliation, and that is a hallelujah. And then after that we do the signing and that child remains there, and then they have to remain in school because in school we are able to delay the next time they will get married or that exposure to marriage. And again, we can also track because the terrain is not very easy. But if that child goes back to school, then we can be able to check up on them through the school that they are in school. And if they abscond, then you know that is something that needs to be followed up. So when they come into this family, there's no discrimination because there are so many people coming into families that are not members of that family. You'll hardly find families who only have their nuclear members. There's somebody who came from wherever. So they would not be discriminated. Another way that we have been able, say, at the center, you'd imagine that it's very risky to work at Kara So we have been able to create good relations with the community by opening up the center to women from the community who are able to sell their wares. Whenever we have activities, we have security people drawn from the community. Whoever is working at the center, even if they are able to work in the office, but hardly do we get those ones who are qualified to work in the office. So you'd mostly find maybe support staff would be coming from the community. Yeah. So yes, we are talking about a retrogressive practice that these people have practiced, they have been guilty of, but we are now showing like this is the way. We are friends, we are not enemies. Let's do this journey together. So slowly by slowly, warming up to the community and allowing the community to embrace the center. And I would imagine the same even for the foster families.
Okay. Let's talk finances. Money, money, money. And you say the economy is looking the way it's looking right now. But then there's a lot of resources that are needed to be able to place or to take care of these children, because like one who said on the WhatsApp, they said that the children are abandoned. They are left with her. Nobody cares about probably how you're going to feed them, what they're going to how they're going to go to school, their medical care, and all of that. Because even as you rescue them, like I was about to say the name, the little 6-year-old who ended up being really, really sick, how are the finances or the funds, dispersed when we're looking at the government? And are we getting from government, or are we working with community? Are we working with donors? What does that look like? And maybe because we've heard from Edwina, Elvin, you can tell us, how does that look like for you guys?
On the particular transitioning from the institution to foster care, I think Edina is best placed to answer. Yeah. But for us, of course, much of the funding that we've gotten to work around FGM is donor funded. Essentially, we work around gender. There is little to no budgets allocated for anything related to gender by the government. And that's what that means is government does not prioritize gender issues, unfortunately. Unless there is political goodwill, like we had experienced with President Uhuru, then budget allocations to anything, leave alone even FGM, anything pertaining gender, is little to none. So that means that we have to seek funds from outside and also to fundraise from community. So we have to, ask people who believe in the work that we do to donate money to us. There is very many instances where you see some people go online to ask for support, to support children and girls who are being rescued. Most of the rescue shelters and safe houses, again, are built on people rallying together. I think Kenya has that culture of coming together, rallying together to fundraise, like Sisi kwa Sisi, and bringing money together so that they can be able to support people in need. But largely, yes, we are donor funded. With government, you can just lobby them, hope that they can take, your recommendations into consideration, and hopefully we continue to lobby government and ensure that with every government of the day, they can be able to allocate more funds. They can be that political goodwill to support gender equality projects in the country. Also, just if they cannot then allocate budgets, to rally government to then take ownership of the projects that we're already doing. If government was to take ownership of institutions or shelters, and they be state-owned and state-managed, then that would also be a positive way of government, allocating funds and ensuring that they're implementing. Yeah.
Okay.
And the government has a very good model of family care and community care. The Inua Jamii, where 2,000 is allocated to a family to just encourage them to take care of the orphan and vulnerable children, like in their community. And that is the idea, that the children remain in the homes. And then how to measure that would be making sure they get birth certs, they are in school, they get all their vaccinations and all of that, which is perfect. I don't think 2,000 is enough.
Yeah.
But it is something.
Yeah.
It is still something because, again, this is a
2,000
member
a
of your
month.
family. Yes, 2,000, that's 500 a week.
Okay.
But this is your person, this is your child.
Yes.
So it is still
It is
something.
yeah.
It's a bit different with foster care because this is not your child.
Yeah.
This is a child that you're opening up your home to. And that's why I was saying that we are now in the transitioning of redirecting whatever resource to now go into the family, the foster care. But it has to be sustainable because you don't want to start something that you can't finish, or at least place a child somewhere and then Grace is stranded with a child with a passion and a good heart to help,
Yes.
but there's no way of supporting this. So most of the funding has been, again, also donations, both locally and international. The support from the government has not been material. A lot of technical support is what we have gotten from the government. But I would not be interested in the money from the government. I would be interested in the government planning tax for Kenyans to go into creating social securities for these children in the village. So making education accessible, quality education, so that every child, even in the remotest of the remote, can access ECD at age 3.
Yeah.
So that by the time they're becoming teenagers, they can be able to understand. And for us, maybe, and I'm still answering to how we do it differently,
Yes.
we'll attend to these children at that level and try and change their worldview, even share with them referral pathways in case there's somebody who's at risk, in case you see people behaving in a certain way, this is what to do. Run, even if you're 7 years old.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the medical needs also for the government to make it free for the children to access. I know there was that for the below 5 years, but it can also be for all the children.
Yes.
There are countries which have free medical care for their citizens. If it is possible for the roads to be done so that when people are moving in those areas, it's not impossible, and somebody will not hear about Musenge and say, that one, please send somebody else.
Yes.
And then the people in that place, or Mosiro,
Yeah.
so that the people in those areas will continue just remaining behind, and all of those other social amenities. If the government can take up their work,
Yeah.
yes, education should be free.
Free. Yeah.
Free and accessible,
Yes,
and
yes.
quality for that matter.
Absolutely.
If that is done, I don't think we even need any shelters. We don't even need all the noise that people are making.
Yeah.
Yes, because children are in school and it delays pregnancies, it delays marriages, it delays every ill that is there. And then now the government also strengthens other things like the judiciary and all of these things to make sure that when you have criminals, they're being charged for whatever it is that they are doing.
Because that is what they are, criminals.
Yeah.
It's illegal,
Yeah.
it is criminal.
Yeah.
What does the transition look like for you, Consolata? Because now when it happens, then it's not one central place. What does that look like for you? Ama hii blueprint bado haijachorwa ikaisha.
Okay, bado tunangoja hiyo blueprint. But to me, I think I really support foster
Okay.
parenting, because every child needs to experience family life. Because I have seen children who grow in children home. They come out of that place. At some point, amefika 18 years, he is through with their secondary school education.
Yeah.
Or even if they are lucky enough, go to university and all that. This is somebody who don't know how to live in a society, most of them.
Yes.
They don't know many things, you know, responsibility as a family. You know, when you are within the family, you become responsible to each other. There are also things that you learn within the family setting that you cannot get in a rescue center, you cannot get in an orphanage. And so if somebody opens up a home for this child and is able to embrace this child, this is a blessed child. This is a child who is able to come up and come out as a rounded person who is able to even contribute within the society in a positive way. So I think if it is managed well, if it is well developed, it can really be of many benefits to these children. Because even you find that It's not only FGM, it's not only... These children, most of them come from families where the mother gave birth. When you reach a point where you can do some things on your own, you are left on your own, you're parenting yourself. Yes. And that's why most of them, you find that when they go through that passage of from childhood to
womanhood.
Yes. Now they start misbehaving. They have behavior issues. Now they see themselves as a woman going to look for a man. And if then they give birth with a boyfriend, and you see the parent comes in and say, because you wanted to be a woman, now I give you the opportunity. Now they're looking for an older man to marry them off. And they don't understand. Yeah, they don't understand these children. And so now people like Edwina understand, and they embrace these children. They can be given second chances in the society so that they're able to build themselves and become just like other people.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yes.
And even as we're talking about the rescue centers and creating foster homes, the message is still the one message: ending FGM. That is still the message. And we've talked about different parties to this conversation, but the question, I think, would be, who is still missing? Who is still missing from this conversation? Or who do we need to rally in more into this conversation, even as we talk about ending it? For each to end, ni nani huyo tuna need kabisa kabisa akue katikati ya hii conversation tuna have, Grace?
It's the women.
It's the women.
I say it's
Yeah.
Because for you, the language, your mother tongue, you learned it from your mother.
Okay.
Baba kukuambia sema kikombe. It is a mother. So if we train women, especially young women, ambaye hawana watoto, hii kitu ya FGM itaisha. Sit with them, tell them the dangers. And alafu wengi wako kwa kanisa. Waambie. Because I remember I was telling my mother, mama wa Yesu hakwenda. Kanivyo ulimuona.
Grace, unaambia kuna mahali kwa Biblia imeandikwa Mary Mother of Jesus alienda.
Akaniambia ulimuona huyo mwanamke.
Enyewe tuongee na mama zetu.
Ndio. So when you train the mothers, who will change the world. Yes. So now, Jonah, I'm still saying, lugha ya mama. How does your mother teach? Me, I've been talking to my girls. I tell them I don't want to go through what I've gone. I also even tell my son, don't marry a girl who have gone.
Nani kweli tunaenda tunayo. And you know, also you being a strong-willed woman and a mother, your husband, was there a role for them to play? Ama it was the strength of a woman who steps in and says, this will not happen, and they actually had, because most of the times in Akangani kama women will not be heard, but then this is a woman who was heard.
Yeah, my husband was supporting me up to now. So because he's a Christian like me, na kanisa letu linapinga hiyo, so he stood with me.
Absolutely. Okay. Who else is missing?
That person that is missing is the person that somebody wrote something very long about. That person in the village. That lady, that woman. Because she's the one who needs to be converted, convinced to live with the cost of being an outcast. And then slowly by slowly, then there's a ripple effect. The grace in every, in every village, that person is the one that needs to be won over. Because like when you have a lot of activities, say like alternative rite of passage, it's called ARP, you must have heard about that. That has gone on for, I think, more than 2 decades. I don't want to name agencies. But you'll find that some of the participants and even the trainers of these ARPs are the activists of conducting FGM in the village. So again, they'll be saying one thing in the day and during the camps, and then another thing when they go into the village. So these people who are in the village, if they could be converted. Same to the declarations. We had a declaration in Narok the Ma Declaration, and just almost like cursing FGM. Those are very important people. Yes. But it has to come from within the heart. It has to bring a conversion in their heads.
Yes.
Because it is, again, one thing to have blankets and then go to the screens in the media and say we have declared and we have put an end to this. And then it is still happening under their watch. So converting these people from deep inside and then into their minds.
The same way it was spoken about over and over and over again is the same way that we need to do it. And it was said to us by people that, probably the people that you love the most, the dearest to you, the ones that you believe, it's those people that are needed.
Yes.
We've got about a minute to go.
Just before you go,
yes.
Among the Luo community, and we thank God for the amazing Luos.
Yes,
yes, they had a culture or a practice of removing their teeth. But right now, you don't see that going on.
No.
What did they do? Maybe that needs to be borrowed too. Because it was among all the Luos of a certain age.
Yes.
I'm sure in your family, when you think about it, there's definitely that old man, that old woman who has their teeth removed, but yours are not.
Yeah.
So what happened?
Okay, thank you so much. We've got 30 seconds, Nambi, what to talk. 30 seconds to Philip. 30 seconds, your final parting shot.
Who is missing?
Yes.
Girls are their own experts.
Yes.
Talk to girls.
Okay.
If you're designing initiatives, talk to girls. Girls will tell you what they want and how to design them.
Absolutely.
So yeah, speak to girls.
Okay, 30 seconds.
To me, I think also the men and the boys should be put on board, because they hold the power within families, within societies.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you so much, Grace. Thank you, Consolata. Thank you, Alvin. Thank you, Edwina. I know we didn't have enough time to even go through all the WhatsApp messages, but we have received them, and thank you so much. We'll share with them. If there's any number that we need to share, we'll do that behind the scenes. But right now, I need to say kwaheri. Thank you for being part of this conversation. See you tomorrow, same time, same place. Adios.